In a move that sent shockwaves across the globe, Peru made a dramatic decision. The government announced it was taking back control of the Chancay port. This massive project, already under construction, was being built and financed by the Chinese shipping giant COSCO. The decision sent a clear message. Peru was asserting its autonomy. Many were stunned. COSCO had already invested heavily in the project. Imagine someone building a luxury mansion on your land, with their own money. Then, suddenly you take the keys back. That's what Peru did, leaving everyone wondering, why? The answer, as with many things in geopolitics, was complex. It involved economic anxieties, pressure from the United States, and the delicate balancing act Peru faced between two global superpowers. To understand the drama unfolding, we need to understand Chancay's significance. This isn't just any port, it's a strategic gateway, a potential game-changer for trade between Asia and South America. Located just north of Lima, Chancay sits on the Pacific coast, perfectly positioned to receive goods from Asia. But its true value lies in its potential to cut shipping times drastically. Imagine a shortcut through a mountain range, allowing goods to bypass the Panama Canal entirely. That's the promise of Chancay. For China, this port is a crucial link in its Belt and Road Initiative, a massive global infrastructure project. It represents a foothold in South America, a region rich in resources and hungry for investment. For Peru, it holds the promise of economic growth, jobs, and a chance to become a major trade hub. The stakes were incredibly high. China's presence in South America has been steadily growing. From infrastructure projects to mining investments, China's economic influence is undeniable. Countries like Peru, eager for development and investment, have welcomed this partnership. The Chancay port was a flagship project, a symbol of this burgeoning relationship. It represented China's ambition to connect the world through trade and infrastructure. But it also sparked concerns, particularly in Washington. The United States, long accustomed to being the dominant power in the Americas, watched China's rise with apprehension. The Chancay project, with its potential to shift trade routes and empower China, raised alarm bells. The U.S. government expressed concerns about China's growing influence, particularly in a region it considered its backyard. There were worries about security implications and the potential for China to use its economic leverage for political gain. Pressure was applied on Peru to reconsider its partnership with COSCO, highlighting potential risks and offering alternative investment options. This was not the first time the U.S. had exerted its influence in Latin America. The region has a long history of U.S. intervention, often driven by geopolitical interests and a desire to maintain its hegemony. From the Monroe Doctrine to the Cold War, the United States has a long and complicated history in Latin America. Overthrowing governments, supporting dictators, and intervening in elections, the U.S. has often acted as the region's self-proclaimed policeman. This history casts a long shadow on the Chancay situation. For many in Peru and across Latin America, the U.S. pressure felt like an unwelcome intrusion, a reminder of a past they were trying to move beyond. It fueled resentment and honestly strengthened the resolve of some to chart their own course, even if it meant partnering with China. Despite Peru's decision to take back control of the port, China didn't back down. COSCO continued construction, although at a slower pace. This unwavering commitment really signaled their long-term vision and their confidence in the project's eventual success. This unusual situation, a country building a strategically important port even after losing operating rights, highlighted just how complex the situation was. It showed China's willingness to play the long game, to weather the political storms and wait for the tide to turn in their favor. As the months passed, the economic realities of Peru's decision began to set in. The COVID-19 pandemic had hit the country hard, and honestly, the need for investment and job creation became more urgent than ever. The government realized that it needed China more than ever. The promise of the Chancay project, thousands of jobs, increased trade, and a boost to the national economy was just too good to pass up. The political considerations, while important, really paled in comparison to the need to secure Peru's economic future. The Chancay port is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. China's Belt and Road Initiative is a sprawling network of infrastructure projects spanning the globe, connecting Asia, Africa, Europe, and now, South America. In South America, China is investing heavily in railways, ports, and energy projects. The goal is to create a seamless flow of trade and resources, connecting the continent like never before. This vision, if realized, has the potential to transform South America, boosting economies, creating jobs, and strengthening ties with China. The story of the Shanghai port is really a microcosm of the geopolitical shifts happening on a global scale. It highlights the rise of China as a major economic power, the waning influence of the United States in its traditional sphere of influence, and the difficult choices facing countries caught in the middle. As the Shanghai port prepares to open, it marks a new era in South America. The continent is becoming a battleground for influence between China and the United States, with each power vying for economic and political dominance. For Peru, the port represents a gamble, a bet on China's promises of prosperity, and a chance to elevate its standing on the world stage. For China, it's a strategic victory, a foothold in a resource-rich region and a key link in its global trade network. The world is watching to see how this high-stakes game will unfold.